Welcome, physical educators. This is Thinking PE.
Because Phi Ed is more than just fun and games.
I'm Stacy Nelson.
And I'm Jamie Seneca.
And it's our goal to dig deeper beyond the activities that make your class awesome.
So buckle up and join us on this journey. You know, on the next topic here, which was a number one or a number two, is building relationships. 75% of the responses rank this in their top three. And I know at my school, building relationships is one of the focal points of the school and the belief of our administration. But it kind of goes to your point of, well, duh.
Well, kind of, but I don't know. You brought up an interesting couple of points when we were discussing this earlier. Number one was that we say this, and we believe it, but what do we really do? You know, I have 670 kids. How many do you have?
700.
700. So I mean,
and that was the point I was going to make. Is we say we're going to do it. We want to build relationships with students. We know how important building relationships with students is, but it's when do we actually do it, and how deep of relationships can we actually have when we have 600 kids that you see once every 4 days for 40 minutes or whatever your time frame is.
And a point that I was at a conference recently and talked to somebody. He was on the board at MinShape, and I was discussing some of my concerns over some of these similar issues. And we started getting into talking about assessing and grading. We're jumping ahead of ourselves a little bit here, but he talked about how he got big into assessing. He loved data and dug in. But then he said he found himself constantly behind a clipboard.
Yeah.
And he was recording, he was watching the kids, and he was, assessing every skill, and he was just getting into it, had all this data to work with, and soon realized that he was distancing himself. What he used to do is walk around the gym and engage with the kids and, take a hockey stick and say, here's how you hold it, turn the hand around or throwing this way. He used to engage. Now he was behind a clipboard, and he found himself just losing. Well, for him, he talked about his desire for teaching. It just plummeted because of this assessing and grading. And so that's kind of where some of this discussion started. Was like, okay, they're both important, but what are you doing to make sure you're building these relationships? And it might mean you have to drop some activity time, if depending what you're going to do to build that relationship. So
it's kind of it's a return on investment, so to speak, where you put your time and energy into building those relationships, knowing that you're going to get a return on that time invested.
Yeah, like, I'll just say this quickly. I struggle with, I know you love instant activities, and you bring kids in, they're moving instantly. That ties to our first one, activity time in class. Well, personally, I have a really hard time learning names. And so I bring the kids in and I sit them down and I go through my seating chart. And if I do that, it refreshes the kids' names in my head, and then I can call them by name in class, which I think helps build that relationship. And so somebody might look at me and go, oh, you don't value activity time in class. And I'm saying, no, that's not true. I actually do, but I actually really need that time for building relationships. And then I can get to the active time. And then, like you said, the return on investment is huge because I can call them by name and not have to say, hey,
absolutely,
George, you say that. So anyway, just kind of a bouncing around between these things. You can see the internal struggle I have with some of them.